On January 6th, 2025, the world was going to see Los Angeles in its beautiful form for the last time, because no one could have dreamed of what was going to happen to it the next day, January 7th at 10 a.m. At 11:30 p.m., a small fire broke out in the Palace area of Los Angeles. The unfortunate thing about this city was that there were very strong winds that day. There was dry land everywhere, so the fire quickly turned into a terrible disaster. And this was just the beginning of the doomsday for this city. A few hours later, a fire broke out in El Tadin, far away from this location. The winds were strong, so this fire also started spreading quickly. After that, the famous signboard in the Hollywood Hills also caught fire. Similarly, a fire broke out at a different location in LA. This fire continued to engulf everything on its way. In the whole of Los Angeles, this fire broke out over such a large area that the water to put it out ran out. In no time, this fire turned 38,000 acres of the city into rock. People's mansions worth millions of dollars, expensive houses, and iconic structures were all burned together. 13,400 structures were destroyed, not counting the vehicles. The total loss was $150 billion. You may not know that many homes were insured here. An estimate of $20 billion is coming from where these insurance companies will get this $20 billion. These companies are not going to go bankrupt, but what the insurance company has done to get rid of it. I will tell you further. Before the fire, the weather in the state of California was very hot and dry. The temperature was much higher than normal at this time of year. It had not even rained here for several weeks, so the environment became even more dry, due to which the trees, grass, etc. here were extremely flammable. As far as the winds are concerned, they were in a very bad condition. California was experiencing the Santana winds, which come in the winter when these winds come down from the hills above Los Angeles. If there are high and low pressure, their speed increases to hundreds of kilometers, and they are very hot winds that scare the entire environment. These winds greatly increase the risk of wildfires and their spread because these strong winds carry the burning embers to new locations, which causes new fires. All these conditions were perfect to turn the richest city in America into ashes, and then the disaster begins from here. At 10:30 in the morning of January 1st, this is the Palace area in Los Angeles, when a small fire breaks out. This picture was taken from the air just 15 minutes after the fire broke out, and you can clearly see how much this fire had grown. As I told you, the Santana wind was blowing at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. So, at 2 in the afternoon, within just 4 hours of the fire starting, this fire had spread to an area of 3,000 acres. The government ordered the evacuation of the surrounding area. At 10 o'clock at night, this fire spreads to 7,000 acres. From that area, they evacuate people. All those houses were destroyed. On the morning of January 8th, this fire spreads to 15,000 acres, and by night, this fire burns an area of 23,000 acres to ashes. The second Eaton fire begins on the same day, January 7th, at 6:30 in the evening in El Tadin. In the first 6 hours, this fire spreads to an area of 1,000 acres. On the morning of January 8th, at 6 o'clock in the morning, by 11 p.m., the fire had spread to 7,000 acres. By 11 p.m., the fire had spread to 11,000 acres, and on January 10th, it had spread to 14,000 acres in total, killing 5 people. The Kent fire began in West Hill at 1:30 p.m. on January 9th. When the fire started, locals caught a man near the fire, thinking he might have started it. At around 8 p.m., the fire spread to 960 acres. On January 10th, the fire spread to 1,000 acres, and on January 11th, it burned to ashes a total of 1,520 acres. The Sunset Fire began at 5:30 p.m. on January 8th, the same famous spot where the Hollywood sign is located. The fire spread to 50 acres, but was 100% contained by January 9th. The Hertz Fire began at 10:30 p.m. on January 7th, the next day. The fire spread to 500 acres. It spreads to 1,000 acres, and after reducing 800 acres to ashes on January 11th, this fire is also controlled. The Lydia Fire starts. On January 8th at 2 p.m., this fire engulfs 400 acres, and on January 10th, this fire is also completely controlled. You must be wondering how the fire can spread so fast that the entire house becomes a rock. The answer is simple. In Asian countries, we usually build our houses with bricks and stones, so even if a fire breaks out in them, it cannot damage the walls. But California is above the major fault line, and as I told you, there is a great risk of artichokes in this area due to the centenary winds. A brick house is hard or ridged, and cracks easily appear in it during such natural events, and the entire structure collapses at first.